Hi guys, welcome to the Nest Sessions. I am Olly Alexander. I'm very excited to have my own Nest session today. And today we're going to be talking about stuff that inspires me, specifically books that have inspired me. I'm currently sat in the corner of my flat in Hackney, week something 8, I think, of lockdown, and I've been meaning to rearrange my whole bookshelf because I haven't done that in a really long time. So I was going through a lot of old books, some newer ones, some that I've read recently, some old favourites, and I've been thinking a lot about how much comfort I get from books, and mostly novels. I read a lot of novels, and I've always read novels since I was a kid. They're kind of like, I kind of see books as my friends in many ways. And I've always found inspiration in books and finding authors that I think articulate something about life's experience or about emotion or feeling that resonates with me, and something lights up inside my brain that goes, oh, that's like me, that's how I feel. So yeah, I'm a big reader. And some of my books are here in London with me now. In fact, a lot of them I've been carrying around for like over 10 years. Recently I went home and to my mum's house in the Forest of Dean before lockdown. And I picked up a few books that I had from when I was a little kid. And I used to work, my first ever job when I was 14, I worked on a Saturday in a shop called Moonstones in Colford in the Forest of Dean, and Moonstones sold a lot of gemstones, incense, tarot cards, and books. So I used to get a lot of witchy materials from there. And one book I found recently when I was at my mum's house that I had bought a long time ago is this, 10,000 Dreams and Their Traditional Meanings. And I thought it'd be cool to have a quick look through it. This book, it doesn't tell me who the author is. I guess it's just a compilation of traditional dream meanings. But I thought, because I don't know about anyone else, but I've been having quite a lot of strange dreams since lockdown began, and dreams about being in crowds and stuff, which I think is pretty easy to explain, but and dreams about hugging people and stuff, like all the things that we can't do. And I thought maybe we could look up a meaning, because I keep having this dream about moving house, and I just wondered if it would tell me something about what that means. There's loads of different... See, you could say you had a dream about a ladder. Apparently to dream of a ladder... To see a broken ladder in your dream betokens failure in every instance. Oh. So, for instance, if you dream of a ladle, it denotes you will be fortunate in the selection of a companion. That's good. Here we go. House. To dream of building a house, you will make wise changes in your present affairs. To dream that you own an elegant home denotes that you will soon leave your home for a better, and fortune will be kind to you. Old and dilapidated houses denote failure in business or any effort, and declining health. It's quite difficult because I'm pretty sure in my dream there were lots of different houses, and I was overwhelmed by the decision of like where I was going to move to, and all these houses were crazy. So I don't know if that really helped me. But anyway, for instance, one book in my collection, 10,000 Dreams and Their Traditional Meanings. I have been trying to read a lot more queer authors or books that have queer topics, just because I love reading them, and also I find it really helpful to, I guess I'm a queer writer, I write songs, and I'm really interested in how desire and just the internal life of a queer person is presented or, expressed. So I've gone through some of my books I have on my shelf at the moment, and I picked out some queer faves. I'm going to start with James Baldwin. So the two that I have to talk about are Giovanni's Room and Another Country. This doesn't have any cover on it, but Another Country and Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin. Giovanni's Room is about an American soldier who moves to Paris and falls in love with a man, and it's quite short. It's quite short. Takes place in 1950s Paris, and it's this very torturous love story between these two men, and there's so much going on, I think, in this book that James Baldwin gets at, and also there's a political and a historical context to it in the fact that James Baldwin, one of the most preeminent civil rights activists, a Black American, a gay Black American, writing on these topics was so groundbreaking. And Giovanni's Room is quite unusual for him in the sense that it takes place in Europe, and the characters are white, and I think the way that he presents the emotional lives of the people in this story is really beautiful, as well as so heartbreaking and sad. I think he, in his other book, Another Country, they're kind of like these vignettes almost of these different characters that come from different places around the world. And I don't know, I feel like his characters they're deeply flawed, but they're always searching for truth or something that will help them see themselves as they really are. I don't know, and all of his books I've read, James Baldwin's books, and these two have kind of, explicit gay storylines or queer storylines, but all his books are really brilliant that I've read. So James Baldwin, well, man, I sometimes just look up his quotes and essays and stuff to try and, I don't know, absorb some of his wisdom. Okay, next on my queer reading list, recommendations that I'm going to give you guys, we have Maggie Nelson. She is a queer writer, a contemporary queer writer. She lives in LA. The two books that I have read from her are The Argonauts and Bluets. I can't tell you how inspirational I find this woman's writing. Like, for someone that she seems to just like cut through all the noise and come out with these sentences that just make my head explode. I wish I could, maybe I'll give you a little example of Bluets. 128. When you first told me about the jacarandas, I felt hopeful. Then the first time I saw them myself, I felt despair. The next season, I felt despair again. And so we arrive at one instance and then another, upon which blue delivered a measure of despair. But truth be told, I saw them as purple. So she basically writes this whole collection of little kind of poems about the color blue. And she says how she's been obsessed with the color blue all her life and how it channels sadness and joy and so much for her. And Bluets I've never read anything like it. It's kind of these bullet points, almost these little short form bullet point poems about her life and coming into contact with the color blue. It's just, I don't know, it's really beautiful. And she's a high recommendation. Another book that I took a lot of inspiration from writing the Sanctify on our second album is a book called Dancer from the Dance by Andrew Holleran. And I actually completely ripped off the title for one of the lyrics in the song. In the second verse, I say, "You don't have to be strict with me. I see what's underneath your mask. I'm a man like you. I breathe the richness of the dancer's dance." The lyric is, "I'm a man like you. I breathe the richness of the dancer's dance." And Andrew Holleran's book, Dancer from the Dance, is set in New York, kind of just before the AIDS epidemic hits those shores. And it's this really heartbreaking and beautiful story about men trying to find freedom and love in the face of extreme hatred and obstacles and people that wish they were dead. And I think it ultimately it's like a real celebration of just life and of feeling the fear, feeling afraid, but trying to do the most anyway. So thank you, Andrew Holleran. Another book I found super inspiring recently is How to Write an Autobiographical Novel by Alexander Chee. This book really, I think, is so amazing. I read this and Derek Jarman's At Your Own Risk, really close to each other, and I feel like very nourished by their words. And Alexander Chee, this book, How to Write an Autobiographical Novel, he talks about what it was like for him growing up in America as an immigrant son. He describes falling in love and, fighting in protest during the AIDS crisis, his heartbreak, his pain, and his trauma, and in such a moving way. So I really, really, really can't recommend this one enough. Another couple books that I have loved reading recently, David Sedaris, Calypso, and People in Trouble, Sarah Schulman. Derek Jarman, At Your Own Risk. On Earth, We're Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Vuong. The Great Believers by Rebecca Mackay. And these books, I was reading books to find some inspiration for doing a TV show that I filmed at the end of last year by Russell T Davies called Boys. And the show is set in the 80s and, features prominently the AIDS crisis. And so I wanted to do some reading to kind of do some research and try and get inside the headspace of someone living in that time. And I found inspiration and help from lots of different places, but these books especially, At Your Own Risk, Derek Jarman, People in Trouble, Sarah Schulman, The Great Believers, Rebecca Mackay, as kind of examples of and testimonies of what life was like in the 80s and how the legacy of AIDS and the trauma continues to this day and will continue, and how that's impacted different people in the community. And it's deeply moving as a gay man to read about that kind of stuff and feel connected to our history in a way that I had been maybe afraid to uncover before and didn't really know too much about. And I'm definitely someone that, tries to figure out my mind or the world around me through books in a way. I think I've always done that. I find my brain can kind of just be on a million miles an hour all the time, and reading helps me just kind of go into a different place and it really calms me down. I feel like all the pathways in my brain relax and you're in another world where anything can happen. And that's kind of how I want to feel when I make music. I want to be in this space where my brain isn't kind of it's not going a million miles an hour with all the things I normally think about. It's sort of in this altered state of, I don't know, where ideas flow and you're connected to your creativity or something. And I feel like reading helps me kind of get access to that sometimes. This book, Saltfish Girl by Larissa Lai, I'm going to read you the blurb because it's such a good one. Set alternately in 19th century China and in a futuristic Canadian Pacific Northwest, Saltfish Girl is the mesmerizing tale of an ageless female character who shifts shape and form through time and place. This is a remarkable novel about gender, love, honor, intrigue, and fighting against the dark forces of biotechnology. So I read that and I was like, oh, this is my perfect book. I cannot wait to read this. And it was just such a roller coaster, mind-blowing. The stuff that happens in this book, I can't even tell you because it just goes to so many different places. It's like a queer, futurist, there's a lot going on. I loved it, and it really helps me think big in terms of Palo Santo. When we came to making Palo Santo, I really wanted to, you know, I took a lot of inspiration from science fiction and all these stories about different worlds and AI, and all of that stuff kind of came from books I had read and loved growing up. Like some of them I have up here. Thank you for joining my nest session. And I am sending you guys lots and lots of love.